Let's be honest, this right here is one of the most soul crushing things in all of astrophotography. You spend hours under the stars, letting your camera patiently soak up every photon it can. You pour even more hours into stacking and calibrating, getting so excited to see that beautiful nebula or galaxy you captured. Sound familiar? You start to stretch the image. The colors pop, the details sharpen, and then you see it. These ugly, distracting, colorful rings camping out around your brightest stars. It feels like a total deal breaker. It's a flaw so obvious, it can make you feel like all that hard work was for absolutely nothing. For the longest time, I thought this was just a sign of bad data that had to be tossed away. But what if I told you that data is perfectly good? What if I told you there's a way to completely erase those halos and rescue your photo? In this video, I'm going to show you my simple method for getting rid of those halos using a powerful but surprisingly easy technique right inside of Photoshop. By the end, you'll know exactly how to pull your own astrophotos back from the brink and get the clean, stunning results you worked so hard for. Let's jump into Photoshop and fix this. So before we get to the how, let's take a quick minute on the why. Figuring out what causes these halos is actually key to understanding why our fix works so well. These artifacts are super common when you're using multi-bandpass narrowband filters, like the popular L Extreme or L Enhance. I haven't used one of those, but I've used the ZWO DuoBand filter. It's a 15 nanometer pass, and I think this is the reason why I'm getting this issue. By design, these filters are incredible at blocking unwanted light pollution while letting through the specific colors and frequencies of light from nebula, and these include hydrogen alpha and oxygen 3. The problem is that they are not so good at reflecting unwanted light that they can sometimes create internal reflections. Light from a bright star enters the filter, reflects off the back surface, bounces off the front surface, and then hits your camera sensor, just slightly offset from the star itself. How bad this gets is down to a few things. The size of the halo is directly tied to the thickness of your filter's glass and the focal ratio of your telescope. A fast scope, like an f4 or an f2 Rasa, will make bigger halos than a slower f8 telescope, and I've recently been trying out my Samyang 135mm camera lens at f2.8. So that's very fast. Thicker filter glass also makes for a bigger halo, and it turns out the star's temperature and brightness matter too. Really hot blue stars and very cool red stars often create more obvious halos. Some fancy high-end filters have better anti-reflective properties that help reduce this. Almost every multi-band pass filter is going to show some halos on the brightest stars. It's pretty much an unavoidable part of the tech that lets us shoot from our light polluted backyards. But unavoidable at capture definitely doesn't mean unfixable in post. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I got this right on the first try or that my results are absolutely perfect right now, but I have spent the last week or so working on this and researching it. The aha moment came when I stopped trying to replace the pixels and started thinking about how to just correct that part that was wrong, the color. The brightness and texture data under that halo is usually perfectly fine. It's just being contaminated with the wrong color info. So what if I could paint with only color and leave the brightness and detail completely alone? Now, if you're finding this at all helpful, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more processing tricks coming your way and lots more interesting videos too. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you my process using the healing brush tool in Photoshop. All right, here we are in Photoshop with an image that's got some awful halos around certain bright stars, shot with a color camera, and a ZWO DuoBand filter. If we zoom in, you can see this big, ugly halo around this star. And you can see that it's not only affecting one or two stars, there's quite a few stars affected in this image. And I see this in most of the images that I've taken recently with my wide field setup. That is using my Samyang 135mm lens and ZWO ASI533MC Pro camera. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it go away. The first step is to create a new layer. So this is non-negotiable actually. If you want to play it safe, we are not going to work directly on our image. Head to your layers panel and create a new blank layer. The best way to do this actually on a Windows laptop, as that's what I have, is to use Control+J. This will open a new layer. This way we can toggle our fix off and on and make changes without ever messing with our original data. Step 2 is to select the healing brush tool. Grab the healing brush tool from the toolbar. It's the one that looks like a band-aid. If you don't see it, it might be hiding under the spot healing brush. Just right-click to find it. Make sure you've got the regular healing brush, not the spot healing brush. Step 3 is to configure the healing brush settings. This right here is the most important part of the whole process. With the healing brush active, look at the options bar at the top. First, set the brush to color. In color mode, the brush will only paint the hue and saturation from your source point. It completely ignores the luminosity, the brightness and darkness. This means we can replace the halo's weird color with the nebula's color while keeping all the beautiful texture underneath. Sometimes you'll have a star halo over the sky. So in that case, we'll replace the sky background in place of the halo. So it's going to look more natural. To get the sample, you just press the Alt key, and click on the area where you want to sample the color. Step 4 is to set your brush size and hardness. Now let's dial in the brush itself. Right click on the image to open the brush options, or you can find them at the top. You want a super soft brush. I set mine to 0 or even 1%. This will make sure our corrections blend in perfectly. For the size, you'll want it to be a little smaller than the halo you're fixing. The goal is to paint inside the halo without smudging the star's core. You can quickly change the size as you work using the square bracket keys. Now this Photoshop technique is my absolute go-to. Why? Because it's fast, it works, and it gives me total artistic control. But it's good to know there are other powerful tools out there, especially if you're a PixInsight user. PixInsight is a hell of a program made just for astrophotography. It has a much steeper learning curve, but it also has specialized tools for almost everything. For halos, one common method uses pixel math to create a mask around the halo, which you can then use other processes to reduce. Lately though, third-party plugins for PixInsight have made it even easier. The most famous is Russell Croman's Blur Exterminator. While its main job is sharpening, it has an Adjust Star Halos feature and a Correct Only mode that can work wonders on stars and minor halos. There's also a dedicated Halo Exterminator tool specifically for this job. These automated tools can be huge time savers, but sometimes a really stubborn halo still needs that manual artistic touch you can only get in Photoshop. My point here is there's more than one way to solve this problem, but the Photoshop healing tool is one trick and a universal skill which is really, really useful. It works in old versions of Photoshop, in Affinity Photo, and in any program that lets you use a brush with blend modes. It's a fundamental technique that puts you in the driver's seat. And there it is. Let's just take one last look at the final before and after. On the left, my image held hostage by those awful, distracting magenta and blue rings around the stars, the brighter stars, that is. And on the right, my final image. The halos are not entirely gone, but they're much reduced and the stars look more natural. The nebula finally gets to be the hero of the photo. As you can see, we completely saved what could have been a compromised image. It's a simple trick, but it makes a world of difference. You don't have to be a Photoshop master to pull this one off. All it takes is a new layer, the healing brush, and the magic that Photoshop can work. You now have everything you need to rescue your own images from this common headache. And I do think that with practice, I can get even better results than I have here. So the next time you see these halos, don't throw your hands up in frustration. Just see it as the final, quick cleanup step before you can proudly share your masterpiece with the world. If this tutorial helped you out, please do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button. It really helps other astrophotographers find this channel. And if you want more deep sky processing tips and tricks, think about subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. I really hope this saves one of your astrophotos.